What's up, everybody? How are you doing today? This is CHM Carnivorous, and I'm super excited because I want to show you one of my best, in my opinion, the best truncata that I have in my collection. It just put out a brand new picture, and this one is better than ever. I'm going to tell you all about this truncata, where you can get it, and just my experience growing it, and why I think it has been by far not only the prettiest, but the best truncata that I have to date. And I've got a lot of my collection, so it's a tall order, but this one right here takes the cake. Stick around. All right, everybody, I hope that you're having a wonderful day and a wonderful week. This is going to be a shorter video, but I wanted to highlight today one of my favorite plants. I've talked about it in previous videos, but it's got a brand new picture on it, and it opened up, and man, is it beautiful. And I cannot wait to share that with you. I want to talk first about what this truncata is, why it's my favorite, why I chose to buy it, to have purchased it, and why I have actually several of them that I'm growing. Now, I collect a lot of truncatas, as you know that, and I collect a lot of truncata hybrids. I think that they're fantastic hybridizers. I've made videos about why they should be one of the first plants people buy. Despite the mainstream ventratas, Mirandas, things like that, I think truncata should be one of the first that you buy, just because of how hardy it is and how forgiving of a plant it is. But I'm about to show you this plant, but before I do that, I want to talk about what it is. Now, there are different types of truncatas. Of course, you have your hybrids, but then you also have your pure truncata, and those species can be, you can mix two different truncatas together to make a sort of a semi-pure hybrid truncata. But what a lot of suppliers are doing is they're mixing both lowland truncata and highland truncata to make almost a super plant that will not only give you the size, but will also give you the ability to grow them in any kind of conditions. Traditionally, truncata like a very, very humid and very hot atmosphere. There are a few, like the Payson Reds, that like to grow in the highland reddish leaf, that like to grow in highland conditions. And depending on who you talk to, Rob Cantley, even though I think it's a different species, and Nebularum. So what these suppliers have done, these growers have done, have combined these two to create a plant that is not only gorgeous, but will get very, very large and will do very well in intermediate conditions. Now, truncatas get a very bad rap. You hear talks about them being very slow, and there are some varieties, like for instance the Hiroshima clone I have found to be slower. Certainly a Rob Cantley, again, I'm just going to cluster it in there, even though I think it's its own separate species, is extremely slow. But for the most part, and highland reddish leaves is also very slow. But for the most part, truncatas, to me, if you give them the right environment, don't take that much appreciably longer to grow than most. And the cool thing about them is you won't get this sort of very small incremental growth. You get growth, and these plants will get very big, especially when they start hitting their sort of adolescent stages. The leaves will become as big as the plant and sometimes bigger. So these leaf jumps that you hear about with truncata, they get enormous. And so I find them to be an exhilarating plant. They're epiphytes by nature, so they don't require a whole lot of water, and so they are very forgiving if they go through a period of a little bit of drought, as far as drought is for Nepenthes is concerned. So without further ado, let me bring this one in here. I'm going to show you the new picture, and then we're going to talk about why this is my favorite and why I think it should be part of your collection. So this is my truncata JB by Payson Red. Now look at that absolute gorgeous picture. As you can see, you definitely get that Payson color in there, that deep red color, and look at the speckling pattern on the inside. Now, scientists aren't really sure why the pattern's speckled inside. The thought is that it helps to confuse insects when they're coming over to the peristome, make them a little bit intoxicated and a little bit, psychedelic experience. But that is certainly not just for truncata, that's for any plant. But the reason why I find this to be the best species of truncata that I have, and I feel that is out there, is just ease of growth. This one has been extremely, extremely easy to grow as comparative to others. It's way more forgiving of water on the leaves and overwatering. It doesn't seem to get affected by edema nearly as much. It's almost like the truncata alba in that sense. It seems to be very resistant to edema, where some of my other truncatas suffer from, and even the hybrids. It has grown very, very fast for me. As you can see, the plant. This was actually, even when I had it, it's actually grown since then, but now it's put on this new growth. The other thing is the color of these leaves are absolutely beautiful. This is a deep, deep green color on the leaves. Most of the truncatas that I have a lighter green. They're still beautiful in their own right, but this one has a very, very much like an evergreen colored leaf. Also, the leaf shape on this one, for whatever reason, is very, very truncate and very, very pronounced heart shape. Some of the smaller ones I have, they look almost like arrowheads. They're so sharp on that heart-shaped leaf. They're absolutely gorgeous. Now, with all truncatas, as they get bigger and they get larger, that leaf will strap out, so it will stop taking on that heart shape and it will become more of a strap-shaped leaf, almost like a big paddle. But this one has maintained that heart-shaped leaf for a very good while now, and will do so for several more leaf jumps. But I cannot get over the beauty. Now, Patience itself is a highland truncata, and it does get very, very large in its own right, but the truncata by JB is known to produce absolutely enormous pitchers. And so, as you can see, the pitcher to leaf ratio is really starting to take off as this plant grows. It's got a new leaf growing, and as you can see, this one is going to be more than likely the same, if not appreciably larger, when it gets done growing. Now, you notice I have it in this net pot. Again, truncata are epiphytic somewhat by nature, more so than most Nepenthes, and so they like that nice aerated soil. But I've talked about truncata in the past videos. This one in particular, you can get at Carnivorous. They still have it open. They are an extra small size, but I will tell you, as far as no truncatas go, this is very fast growing, and it will take it no time to get to this size. I have others in the collection. As a matter of fact, here's one right here that I have, and you can see it already has that pitcher to leaf ratio. Let's see if I can, right there, beautiful new pitcher. And this is more of a medium-sized one. Look at that very, very heart-shaped leaf there, and just that beautiful evergreen color. Not all truncatas are like that. Some of them have a yellow tinge to the leaf. Some of that could be just lack of lighting. More lighting could be a lot of issues, but in general, this is probably the darkest green leaf I've ever seen. This is Truncata JB Giant by Truncata Patience. And so this will be able to handle any conditions really that you would be able to put in with your Nepenthes, as low as, now you don't want it to get there, but the sub 60 Fahrenheit all the way up to 100 Fahrenheit. It is going to be very, very tolerant of drier periods of times, much more so than any other Nepenthes, or most other Nepenthes, excluding like a Madagascariensis or something like Boqueriensis. But it will also just, I mean, in general, just amazing. Will handle any side of temperatures that you want, humidity as well. This plant right here will grow very well as it acclimates into your home. So if you wanted a plant that you could grow in your home that will get big, beautiful, put on a show, this one will do that. Now this, even though it is probably a good 9 inches or so, is a very small pitcher for what this will put out. These will put out pitchers well over 1.5 feet tall and very, very wide. This is, as they call it, a rat killer. Luckily it won't be doing that. I don't want to deal with the smell and then also with the rat. And so, this will get enormous, enormous, enormous pitchers. I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this highlight on not only the species, but a specific species highlight. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions. As always, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.